you film fans, both weird and normal. Welcome to another episode of Never Seen It. My name is Trent. I'm sitting here with Betsy.
I'm a weirdo.
We're all weirdos today because we're going to the theater to watch a brand new Yorgos Lanthimos movie called Bugonia. Now, Betsy, when I first started hearing about this movie, I was like, okay, it's another Yorgos movie. We've watched a number of his movies, not all of them. Because right after Poor Things came out, the next year after it won all these awards, not Best Picture though, but the following year, he came out with yet another movie that he just had in the can. That being Kinds of Kindness, we didn't bother watching it because nobody was talking about it winning or being nominated for any kind of award, so we kind of skipped it. But immediately, Bugonia was on everybody's lips. So what do you know about this movie other than what we've seen in the trailers? Because I've kind of tried to avoid trailers for this movie.
Aliens. Maybe.
But is it really?
That's the big question, Trent. So it's two guys who kidnap a high-powered business lady because they are conspiracy nuts who believe her to be an alien. But if that's really true, I don't know. But knowing Yorgos Lanthimos and some of his other movies, I have to question, is this like one of those really weird but based in reality?
Yeah.
Or is it the double fake where it's really weird?
I think it's all of the above, honestly, because going back to the Poor Things angle, it is kind of everything. It is a fairy tale. It is a whole lot of sex. It's a whole lot of naked people, but at its heart, it's kind of sweet.
Which is the same thing as The Lobster when we watched that.
Yeah.
But that was another one that feels more akin to what we're going to see in Bugonia, where it's like, this could be real, but also, wait, is this real?
Right. And you also said something about, she is kidnapped because she's suspected of being an alien, but you don't say why. Like, being an alien is one thing, but if you are an alien hell-bent on destroying the planet, I think based on what I've seen in one trailer, they kidnap her because they think that through her power and influence, being a high-powered executive at some kind of a company, I have no idea what the company is, because of her power and influence, she is trying to destroy the planet.
Something to that effect, Trent.
Yeah, so is it like fucking Greenpeace on meth, or is it something a lot more innocent, let's say?
As far as I understand it, again, just based on the trailer, it's just these two guys, one of whom is Jesse Plemons. And I'm very excited about this because it's kind of his biggest leading role to date. And he actually won one of the major awards. I don't remember if it was Cannes or where it was, but it was for this movie, I'm pretty sure. So his acting in it is quite good. That is what I know about this movie.
Yeah, and we have talked when he has shown up in movies that we have covered on this show and in other shows. We really like Jesse Plemons. He's only a few years younger than we are. And literally tonight, before we sat down here to record this episode, I think it was the GQ YouTube page. They do one of those career retrospectives, and he goes all the way back to when he was in Like Mike and when he was on Friday Night Lights, the show, and basically his entire career. He's less than 40. So the amount of stuff that he has done is quite vast. And just going through it, obviously he is married to Kirsten Dunst, and they met during an acting gig when they were on the show Fargo. He's kind of done everything, but at the same time, he has a really great working relationship with his own wife. Just earlier this year, we covered Civil War, and his role in that movie that became iconic wasn't meant to be. The actor who was supposed to be there couldn't do it, and he just happened to be on set. They said, well, Jesse can do it, and he turned in this great, great performance.
And I'm sure we're going to be spending a lot of time talking about him after we watch the movie. But let's talk about the other person who we know is in the film. The other star is Emma Stone. And this is like her fourth movie that I think she's made with Yorgos, because she was in The Favorite, she was in Kinds of Kindness, she was in Poor Things, and now she's in Bugonia. And again, as I understand it, her performance is unhinged in a great way.
Maybe in a way that makes the audience question whether or not these guys are on the level or telling the truth or whatever. I don't know. I haven't really heard too much about her other than the fact that she literally shaved her head for the performance.
But beyond these facts, I don't know who the other guy is because I think it's mostly just these three people in the majority of the movie. At least that would be my assumption if you've kidnapped this woman. Like, I wouldn't think you'd be leaving her alone or anything.
Right. And you're also not going to be inviting other people into your compound when you have a hostage.
And I think the question is going to be, are these guys just nuts or is there something to this? And knowing Yorgos and what his other movies have been like, I'm open to either interpretation. I don't know what this movie is ultimately going to be, though. So we're just going to go and find out.
All right, Betsy, with that, we're going to go to the theater, watch Bugonia, and then we're going to be right back with our reaction. And that was Bugonia, Betsy. Yeah, that was a movie.
That was, in fact, a movie.
How are you feeling right now? Because I have mixed feelings for sure.
The movie's fucking batshit, but I think I liked it.
Okay.
It's as we said in the intro. Is this straight one thing, or does it veer off and go into the surreal, which Yorgos has been known to do from time to time?
This would not be a Yorgos movie unless it went full fucking bonkers.
And I had heard that in the last half, the last third is where it really goes off the rails and cranks it up. I was sitting in the theater multiple times with my mouth agape because everything was just starting to happen in the most unexpected way.
And at the same time, I think this is the moment where I started to become very, very confused, most likely by design. Because, of course, the crux of the movie here is these two nuts think that this very powerful woman is an alien who is out to destroy the planet, and they're going to ask her to take them to her leader. But it turns out that it's a lot more complicated than that.
Because there's also some things in here that make you believe, oh, we should be really sympathetic to Jesse Plemons because he has gone through some fucking trauma in his life. He has gone through a really hard time, and that maybe explains why he is the way he is.
You are being pulled in so many different directions as an audience member here because, yes, you get the backstory of Teddy and his mom, Alicia Silverstone, where she was a drug addict, and this company exists to put out pharmaceuticals, presumably. And they were doing some kind of experiment on not only her, but other test subjects to help with the withdrawals that people have when they're coming off of opioids. But unfortunately, during that test process, they found out, oh no, this is going wrong, and his mom goes into a coma. And she was also the one who was like suffering from like mad conspiracy theories, and she was implanting a whole bunch of stuff into her kid's head, and he just took that and ran with it, I guess. And you add the whole idea of a lost kid or a young adult getting lost on the internet without any kind of parental supervision, and they just go down this fucking rabbit hole, and it becomes an echo chamber for him, quite literally. All he is consuming here is conspiratorial podcasts and quote unquote doing his own research. And from an audience member's perspective, up until this point in the movie where it is kind of revealed that, oh, the reason he's doing this is because of his mom. Nothing else prior to that really makes you think, you know, he's onto something here.
You believe that he's just a conspiracy nut.
You think that he's just a nut that is mentally unstable and is doing something here that he should not be doing.
But at the same time, the longer he spends with her, when you hear him articulating himself and his thoughts and how he got here and the phases he has gone through, there are times in the movie where you're kind of like, well, maybe he's right.
Like, wait, what? You got something here, buddy.
Even though you're doing insane things, you seem like you're very calm about it. You are actually sticking to the plan. You understand it. So it might seem insane, but maybe he's not mentally ill. He is just misunderstood, which is a very bizarre thing to be feeling after you've kidnapped a person. But that's all dependent on
person,
exactly.
Betsy?
That's all dependent on if you believe that he is correct and what he has discovered is an alien, or if you believe he's absolutely nuts and he has just kidnapped this woman and he's torturing her in his basement.
Because clearly he is getting some kind of feedback. You just mentioned the torture scene, and he kind of turns on a dime here because the readings that he was getting out of his computer or whatever it was that was hooked up to her after passing 400 fucking volts through her body, whatever readings he was getting there is telling him, oh no, the readings I'm getting, you're not just a regular kind of alien, you're royalty. And like, how would you possibly have known any of this, man?
Because he's done this before, which we only kind of understand at this point. He says you're beyond like the limits that we've done so far.
Yeah.
But we haven't seen him do this.
There are very, very subtle references to the fact that he's been doing this for a while and has maybe done something like this in the past. But maybe this is his big score. You're finally at the big enchilada, and it's just happenstance that it's the same company that was the one giving his mom drugs and caused his mom to go into a coma and whatnot. But in reality, a lot of the stuff that she is saying here as well is fact. I didn't kill your mom. I didn't addict her to drugs. That was her and that was you. You're the one who did it. You trusted me. You shouldn't have trusted me, clearly. And I'm going to educate you as to what the hell is going on. And it's at this moment here in the movie where she is explaining everything as if she was really an alien. And she is very, very confident at knowing the history of the human species and the planet and everything.
Tell him exactly what he needs to hear in this moment.
Yeah, telling him about, the dinosaurs, they were a perfect species, and we accidentally, we wiped out all the dinosaurs with a virus, and then we had to start over. Then we created humans, and we created them in our image. Where have you heard this before? And there's this back and forth about, we allowed the humans to grow up into this society where they have fucking nukes, and they nuke themselves, and it creates this flood. And all of a sudden, there's the Ark. There's only this crazy people on the Ark with all the animals and shit. But those were the ones that shouldn't have survived. They were mutated and just fucked up. That's you. That is your species.
You evolved from the worst of humanity.
Yeah.
And when she gives this particular speech, because she has been kind of just telling him what he wants to hear up to this point, you assume this is more of it, but that she's sort of at her wit's end. She is a high-powered woman. She knows exactly who she is.
And highly educated, too.
And she knows that she has exactly one chance to get out of this fucking house, and it is to give this long speech, Captain Exposition, saying this is how we got here. I'm going to just confirm everything, and now we have to go because I have a transportation pod, but it's in my office. And it's still all the way till the fucking end of the movie, where you're like, okay, she's still just telling him what he wants to hear, buying into his lies, buying into his conspiracy. And he doesn't go empty-handed. He has a fucking bomb strapped to him. So when she says, get in the closet, I'm going to beam you up. I mean, transport you to the ship. I'm still like waiting. Okay, what is going to happen? Is she really going to do it? Because that's the big question you're asking this whole fucking movie. If it's going to be revealed that she's an alien,
is there anything here where it's going to completely, like the veil is off and we can see everything?
Yeah, we're going to get
Or is there anything to see?
We're going to get the payoff no matter what it is. Either she's going to lock him in the closet and we're going to call the cops and he's going to prison, or something goes off the rails. He fucking explodes. Did she make him blow up? I assume that she beep booped some buttons on her calculator to make him explode.
I think that is exactly what happens.
Because she got hit in the face with his head.
With his face.
His decapitated head.
His face.
Head butted
hit her
her
in the face.
And again, Up until this moment, you think she's just a high power lady and she probably has some built-in security in this office.
She has this education. She says that, oh, I also minored in psychology, so I know about you. I know your type, and I can use my history of psychology to fucking shrink your ass into believing me and taking me where I want to go.
Don't you also believe that as a high-powered executive, she hasn't prepared for the possibility that she's gotten threats, that people are coming after, especially as the head of a pharmaceutical company?
Of course.
She's got preparations for this kind of scenario in her office.
Totally. They put you through fucking training for just eventualities like this, where not only do you have media training, but you have self-defense training. Hey, where did you see that at the beginning of the movie? But I fully imagine that there's some kind of other kinds of mental training that they put you through in order to like negotiate your own surrender, or to negotiate, not to negotiate your surrender, but to negotiate your release from captivity.
To keep yourself safe. It's all about self-preservation and getting your captors on your side. But Trent, also just to stay at the end of the movie here, because this is the big thing that the whole movie hinges on. When they go to the office and she takes out what looks like a lockbox and takes out a calculator.
Yeah.
That was when I was like, okay, this has to be something, because why would you do that? If this was just a totally innocuous thing, why would the calculator be in a lockbox inside of your drawer? That is so weird. And she keeps saying, you know, oh, it's a 58-digit code and I haven't remembered for a while and beep, beep, boop. But when the bomb goes off, you assume she probably has some kind of remote detonator, that's actually what the calculator is.
Or she has some kind of control over what happens in that room.
That's what I'm saying. Like, this room is specially designed for her safety.
To a point anyway, but from my perspective here, I keep going back to the doubt that I had about her, about anything having to do with aliens is going to happen. I know this is a Yorgos movie, and probably there's going to be a coda at the end here that is going to reveal everything and he was right all along. Well, he is, but what I figured she was doing here literally was just beep pooping on the calculator as kind of a distraction, or just a way to kill time before security comes and breaks through that fucking door.
Well, sure, because she's been missing for 3 days, and she just strolls into the company, and everyone in that place is like, what the fuck? What is happening? Because you have been missing, and now you just show up unannounced. No one knows where you've been. No one knows how you got here. You're with this guy. This is crazy.
And you see everybody in the background through that glass freaking the fuck out. At one time, some guy is just fucking sprinting to the back, probably trying to get security, because they don't know what's going on. Nobody's actually talked to her, and she's acting very, very strangely with this mystery man.
Even when they got out of the car, you can see walking through the lobby, in the bottom corner, you can see that security guard outside, or the guy who's gonna park her car.
Yeah.
He gets on the radio immediately like, she's walking through the door.
Yeah, she's here and there's somebody with her. We need to check out what's going on because this does not feel right.
So you feel like, she's just buying time until she gets him in this closet, until people can come and rescue her to defuse this situation.
Right. But that's not the only goal here. The goal, yes, is to get rid of the threat, which is Teddy. And now that he's gone, she gets knocked out. But if she did not get knocked out, don't you think that she would have, I don't know, found some kind of way to kill more time until whatever the moon phase happens?
The lunar eclipse?
The lunar eclipse, thank you. Because she gets knocked out and gets put into the back of an ambulance. She wakes up and asks, okay, is he dead? Yes. Then she just gets up and runs off to, she goes back to her office to go into her pod because I guess her mothership is awaiting her.
Because it really was a transportation pod within her closet in her office.
Yeah, and she's revealing here just enough to string him along. And you think that all of it is just psychological. You think it's just placating his whatever and just saying all the stuff that he needs to hear in order to get him to do what she wants. But once she gets out of that ambulance, all she's trying to do here is get out of there. She just wants to escape from the planet because, hey, there's a lot of questions here and I don't do well with a whole lot of people around me, because you see at the beginning of the movie, she's not friends with anybody. She doesn't live with anybody. There's no friends. There's no husbands, boyfriends, whatever. There's nothing here to say that she is a social human. But I think that has to do with the other element of this movie, and that is an element that we're going to talk about right after we get back from a word from our sponsor. We will be right back.
Feeling run down, lethargic, a little bloated?
Yes. Oh, God, yes.
Well, have I got the prescription for you?
Oh, no, not another pill. I take enough of those that I find in the dumpster behind the Burger King.
Oh, no, it's better than any dumpster pills. It's patreon.com/neverseenitpod.
I'm interested. Tell me more.
It's premium content from those jokers at Never Seen It. They have 4 other weekly shows, plus bonuses.
I've heard of those guys. They're like super talented and funny.
And sexy. Don't forget sexy.
Oh, then I'll definitely check them out. Thanks, disembodied voice.
Anytime.
So besides all the alien stuff, Betsy, this movie is the cloud of a movie like Triangle of Sadness and The Menu, and to a lesser extent Parasite, where it is a social commentary about the rich and powerful and corporations. It is the little guy getting fucked over by the big guy. And how do you take out a big guy when you're a little guy? Well, you gotta cheat. You gotta break the rules. You gotta commit some crimes and some light torture and kidnapping in order to, level the playing field.
Because he has gone through a lot of stuff as a result of the things the corporations are doing. We don't explore it thoroughly, but we know that Teddy has lost his entire family. His dad's a piece of shit and he hasn't seen him in years. His mom has an opioid addiction. He works for the company. He works for the pharmaceutical. But that also means because that company is right there, that all of their actions affect the community around it. And if you look at opioid addiction, guess who made the opioids in the first place? They give you the opioids, then they give you the cure. And so it is logical that this guy who is very troubled and has a hard life is going to connect the dots.
Not to mention the not so subtle reference to this cop guy apparently molested him when he was a child.
He assaulted him, Trent, when he was babysitting him. And it's really a fucked up way that they kind of reveal that. And he's just like, I never did that before, and I'm sorry, man.
What the actual fuck? Why are you bringing this up now?
I think they're just throwing this in here to really drive home that Teddy's had it rough. He's had it really rough. This guy is poor. He works for a company that doesn't give a fuck about him. And we know the company doesn't give a fuck about him because the company is Emma Stone's character. And she, at the beginning of the movie, is like, everyone can go home at 5:30 unless they have work to do. Then they should definitely still stay. But it's not mandatory.
Let's send out an email so that everybody knows, because there was apparently some unpleasantness that happened in the past, in the recent past, to say, okay, guys, we're not going to force you to stay. This isn't, this isn't a slavery kind of situation. You leave at 5:30, as long as you have all your work done. And if you don't have your work done, you should probably get that done. But it's up to you. It's up to you.
So it's also demonstrating toxic corporate culture.
Yeah, and having, to bring up the word for the first time, her little worker bees just going about their business and making the honeys so that the queen at the top of the food chain, the queen can live in opulence. If that isn't a social commentary, I don't know what it is.
Well, they even go into it deeper. In his opening speech, when Teddy is talking about the bees, he keeps bees, and he's telling Donnie about how the colony works. He says, the bees are dying. And this is something that's fact. They're doing global studies that are suggesting we're losing millions of bees every single year because of climate change. And he says, sometimes the workers, they just say, fuck this, and they abandon the queen, and then the whole colony dies. And that is a commentary about how these corporations work. They literally cannot function without the workers.
Yes.
The working man is what keeps you as the queen bee in your opulence.
Yeah, Betsy, this movie is very deep, and if it wasn't for the wackiness when it comes to, hey, she's a fucking alien, and when she goes up to her spaceship, they're wearing these like fucking cable knit sweater suits that cover all of them, and she's wearing a cardboard crown. It's really quite silly, but I kind of love it. But as Teddy is concerned, he is a guy that you know. He is totally a guy that you know. He's been working there forever because he's not skilled enough to do anything else. He's not motivated enough to do anything else. He's just kind of stuck in his dead-end job, and he blames the company for it. Like, dude, you're the one who continues to collect a paycheck here. You continue to punch the clock every day. You could just leave.
But sometimes that's not a choice. As I said, if this is a relatively small community, this is probably the only place you can get a decent wage.
And I'm totally there with you. What I mean is, people like this. You know somebody at your job that constantly is complaining, whether it's you, whether it's another person. There's somebody at your job that is just like this. And maybe you're good at your job and they don't want to get rid of you because you're a valued asset to this company.
At all levels, we're a family at this corporation.
Oh, yeah. But like when he's standing there talking to his coworker about, oh, the machine fucked up your hand. Your hand hurts. Yeah, you got to file a complaint with OSHA. Yeah, you got to go after him. They got to pay you. And yes, he does have a point. But sometimes in situations like that, you just don't want to rock the boat. Because I know it's happened umpteen times where somebody starts to complain, or they try to take an FMLA leave, or they complain about a boss, or they go to HR and complain about working conditions. Those are the people that get cut immediately because we don't have worker protections in our country.
Toxic companies will do everything they can not to pay you either. They don't want to have to change anything. They don't want to make a scene, and they don't want to pay you. So they would rather just get rid of you or give you like the worst job possible to shut you up.
Yeah. It's kind of represented here as this flashback scene kind of in the middle of the movie where she's out front with Jesse holding his mother aloft as if she is a balloon. She is up there kind of spouting this corporate speak about kind of her mea culpa, saying, you know what? Yes, this was an experimental thing. This was not intentional. We want to do everything in our power to help you, help your mom, and help out your situation where her treatments are going to be completely free.
This is another, please don't sue us. We're doing the right thing here. Let's leave it at that. Because they know that they could face a giant lawsuit and they will lose, most likely.
Yeah, and because maybe they're doing it directly to him and not out in public, that it's going to be okay. He doesn't have any lawyers. He's not very bright. It's a way to basically shove it under the carpet and just forget about it.
And when they showed this scene, it's obviously a little bit of a dream. It's him remembering. Mm-hmm. But I think this also probably did happen where she and her room full of lawyers walked in and gave the canned speech saying, hello, my presence here is a signal that we care. Robot voice, corporate lingo.
Uh-huh.
I feel deeply about the situation. The fact that she doesn't remember him should tell you that she doesn't remember him at all. She remembers his mom eventually when she sees the name scribbled into the tag of the dress. She doesn't look at his face and know who he is, though.
Okay, now I get that.
Yeah, she sees Sandy G, and she kind of has been racking her brain. Who would want to hurt me?
Yeah, what's the connection there?
She's got to have a connection because these people, again, like you said, they've been trained. You have to identify who it is that has you and what they want from you. Sure. And she is running through her mental list of who could have a vendetta against me.
Going back to the corporate speak, kind of the introduction of Emma Stone in the movie is when she's in that conference room and she's staring into a camera saying, diversity, diversity, our strength comes from our diversity, doing what people refer to as the DEI speech and shit like that. Essentially only doing this video because it has become the thing that companies do. But of course, this movie is coming out right after a whole lot of companies have pulled back on a lot of their DEI initiatives. And in between takes, she's complaining, can we just please diversify the amount of words that are in this speech? Which I can understand. I'm a writer. You shouldn't say the same word over and over and over again, but the sentiment is here. She doesn't want to have to do this, but because it's just the thing that you're supposed to do as a good corporate citizen, as they say, she does it.
She's also doing some very hard PR about the culture of the company right now. Yeah. We're changing. It's a new day here at the company.
Right. Going back to that 5:30 thing. Clearly there is some upheaval within the company, and they're trying to quell that by saying, yeah, you can leave early. Who said that you can't leave? Not me. And if you felt like that, then you're wrong. Putting it back on the employee. And I would be lying if I said that I didn't feel the same kind of pressure sometimes. You need to stay and help out with this one thing. You need to cut your lunches short because we're really slammed right now. When in reality, especially if you're an hourly worker, they can't really force you to do more than what you're hired for. And there are some, I've never worked this before, but there's some companies that do require mandatory overtime, like doing over the 40 hours. But in those cases, they have to pay you at least double. At least they should anyway. But when you're a salaried employee like I am, there's a lot that they can get away with, especially working for a very large company.
But the way that Yorgos actually really tactfully takes these ideas and applies an alien quality to it, these people, if you look at people like Mark Zuckerberg, how many times has that guy been accused of being an alien because he is just kind of dead-eyed and devoid of feeling and doesn't understand people and normal human ways of acting? He looks like a fucking alien sometimes, and you start to question that yourself, and we live in the real world. So taking that little idea and turning it into this concept that some guy who has had it really hard and looking for someone to blame looks at Emma Stone, who is treating her workers terribly, who is getting away with a lot of shit being the head of a pharmaceutical company, who is poisoning the earth as he interprets it. The leap to the conclusion that she must be an alien is fucking hysterical, actually.
Yes.
So I get this line. And they set her up really well like that, where she just doesn't know how to act one-on-one with a human being in any kind of real way.
Because you could treat that as, yeah, you're just a little antisocial, and I get that. I know Zuckerberg was very much like that. If you've seen The Social Network, you see what kind of fucking psychopath he actually is. And he does not play well with others. But at the same time, the pressures, and I'm surprisingly going to defend heads of corporate entities here. When you have that much pressure from not only your board of directors and the big stockholders and everybody at your company is relying on you to steer the company in the right direction, there is a lot of pressure there, and you don't necessarily want to surround yourself with people that you don't know and you don't trust. So if you don't know them or you don't trust them, you don't surround yourself with anybody. You decide, I'm going to be on my own in my personal life. I don't have a personal life. I got a big ass house and a nice car. That's what I do. And I listen to fucking, what is it, Sabrina Carpenter in the car?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she is just doing all of the work all of the time, and then she expects everybody else to live exactly like her.
Wakes up at 4:00 in the morning to start her day, to train, to run, to
train her body, train her mind.
Yep.
And then she goes to work for obscenely long hours and expects everybody else is doing the same thing. And these are all things when you're looking at her, you're like, yes, context clues imply that maybe something is weird about her. Maybe she's an alien because she is isolated. She doesn't have anybody else. She doesn't need anybody else. If she had people around, they'd be able to suss out her true identity. Or she's just kind of a high-powered bitch and cannot deal with other people.
And she pushes people away by working in her very large office surrounded by windows and doors and whatnot. She doesn't let anybody into her bubble.
So since we're here, we are on Emma Stone, let's just come out and say it. She's fucking great in this movie, Trent.
Yeah, I think playing the high-powered business type person who doesn't really interact with people, but she can play act as if she can connect with the little people.
And also the fact that when you shave her head, she really looks like a fucking alien because she has giant eyes.
Yeah, the giant bird eyes don't really do her any justice here with the shaved head. But she does have a great head, though.
She does. She's lucky that when they cut her hair off, she looks normal enough.
Yeah.
But because she's got those big eyes and she's painted white, the first reveal of that look, it's like, yeah, you really do look like an alien here.
But here's the deal. That's to the audience's perspective. The real story about her being an alien is the aliens look just like us. We, as humans, were created in their image.
We're all the big fucking science experiment to the aliens in this movie, which is why they conclude science experiment failed.
Yeah, we have given them enough time here. The era of the humans on Earth is over. We're going to start over, and then pop. She pops her bubble, and everybody's fucking dead. Everybody's dead, Betsy.
Every human being is gone.
Fuck. Holy crap.
Now, I was thinking that, what would cause that? Maybe it was a literal, like, we popped the oxygen, but all the animals are still alive.
Yeah, all the plants, the animals, everything's still alive. It's just the people.
They just have some kind of connection to our genetic code that they can just will us all to death.
Wow.
And
just wow.
It's really not until this part of the movie where she runs away from the ambulance and beams up somewhere. You see this flash and she crawls out of the goo and it's like, oh my God, she's really an alien.
Yep. In a suit. She's wearing that suit.
She's still wearing the suit.
What the hell is that about?
She transported.
She wasn't wearing a suit at the time, was she?
Well, she was wearing her undersuit, so like the shirt and the skirt, and then she had the big coat on. That was what she was wearing when Jesse Plemons took her to the office.
I forgot about that part. I just thought that when she beamed up there, she was given a suit to come out of the goo with.
No, she was still wearing the clothes that she got transported in,
but
crawled out of the goo, and then she put on her much more appropriate cable knit jumper outfit.
But what I was saying is, it's just like a corporate person they feel most comfortable in a suit. I vowed early on in my life when I was in my 20s that I would never, ever work a job where I had to wear a suit every day. Are you fucking kidding me? Thankfully, I have actually gained new employment since our last episode, and it is not a place where I have to wear a suit every day. So that's great. But yeah, Emma Stone, we're not talking about Oscars yet. We're going to wait till the end of the episode for that. But the way she is distraught at the beginning of the movie where she's crying on the floor, trying to act as human as possible. But, who knows? Who knows what the actual emotions of an alien are? But I think it really turns on here after she finds the hidden cubby where all of these specimens are, all of his research. Because think about it. At that moment, she is free. She has no more shackles on. She could just fuck off. She stays there and confronts Teddy.
Yeah, I think the basement is still locked, but if she really wanted to get out, she could probably break that lock pretty easily. But you're right, she does. She stays and says, what the hell have you been doing?
Yeah, how many of them, what do they call them?
Andromeda.
They're from the Andromeda galaxy.
Andromedas? I don't know.
Sure, whatever. But she asked him how many of them were from Andromeda because literally Jesse Plemons has already found other aliens and he's keeping them in his little cubby.
And you think at this point that she's just saying what she needs to say, but in reality, once we see the end of the movie, she's pissed.
She's pissed. You have been experimenting on my people and you're getting away with this. No, you're not going to get away with this anymore, buddy. So I'm going to lead you to my office where you are going to die, or we're going to take you with us and we're going to kill you, whatever. And yeah, this is the speech where I think if they're going to give her any kind of award, it is that speech where she's fucking pissed. But of course, Betsy, we got to talk about one of our favorite actors ever. It is Jesse Plemons, the millennial actor, in my opinion anyway. What did you think about him?
Also, really, really fucking good in this movie. I love that he's got a chance to be the lead of this movie. Yeah. He is carrying almost every single scene for the bulk of the film. And as they're giving you little details about why he is like this, you feel so much empathy for his situation because he's not just a mentally unstable guy. He has had it really hard, which is why I'm saying you question whether he actually is mentally unstable.
Yeah.
Or if he's just had some real trauma that has made him like this.
As I said, the movie just keeps pulling you in so many different directions here, especially with his character, because they show him at certain points where he's just listening to conspiracy podcasts. And they talk about, ooh, I did this rendering on my laptop of what I think that this spaceship looks like. When in reality, he kind of got it right.
Because he's not an idiot. That's the thing. You could assume this guy's really dumb. He's not. He's actually quite smart. He's just a little bit of a slob, and they're setting him up to look like he's not smart. And maybe some of his trauma has made it hard for him to advance and apply himself.
Yeah. You look at him and you can think, oh, I can dismiss this guy because he's a little out there. He's maybe a little bit of a kook, but he's harmless. Then you realize, oh, he and his cousin they're able to kidnap a very high-powered CEO off of her fucking front porch. And he's very calm about everything. He has a plan, as we keep on saying. He's stringing along his cousin on. We're going to talk about him here in a second, but he's stringing this cousin along to what? Like, I don't know why he's there. Is it because there's nowhere else for him to go? So Jesse is trying to get Donnie in on this so that he can also participate. Clearly, he's a true believer in whatever it is that he is spouting at the mouth with, but I don't really get the whole Donnie situation.
I think it's a few things. One, he does need help to do this. He cannot do it by himself. He's the only person he trusts. It's also the only person each of them has. Donnie only has Teddy, and Teddy only has Donnie. And Donnie's a simple, sweet guy who can be manipulated, but he also trusts Teddy, which is why it feels a little bit icky most of the movie of him just saying, you got to do what I say, buddy. You got to do it. Come with me.
When he says, I maybe wanted to be with somebody one day, and he says, no, that day doesn't exist.
Yeah, these sacrifices that we're making will be worth it. I promise you.
Yeah, I'm helping you.
I'm helping you. I'm going to make this better. You know what I was thinking of, Trent, watching this?
Okay.
Dog Day Afternoon. Where there's a guy, there is one guy with a mission who fully believes what he is doing, and there's another guy there who is kind of less bought in, and it doesn't end well for either of them. Let's just put it that way.
One of them is very, very gung-ho at the idea of doing this one thing and this one thing only. And the other guy's just there to kind of tag along, to get a little bit out of it.
Because he believes in the person who is telling him this. He doesn't believe it necessarily himself, but what else do they have? What else has he got?
Teddy here is acting as if he is a cult leader. And he is absolutely right at the beginning of whatever the cult is going to become. But because he wants this whole operation to remain secretive, he puts on the air of a cult leader and just to say, I'm the only person with the answers. You need to trust me. You need to do what I say. Even if you have apprehension about it, that's the system fucking with you.
But he also, I believe him when he's saying things to Donnie like, Donnie doesn't feel good in this suit. It's too tight. I look stupid. And he says, no, you don't look stupid. You don't look stupid. Like when he is telling him that and trying to build him up, I believe those moments.
Yeah, when they're training at the beginning of the movie, he's saying two different things. He's saying, yeah, it's the system. It's your hormones that are fucking with you. And if you do this chemical sterilization or chemical castration, whatever they call it, that's going to block all of those instincts that you have to, procreate and spread your seed.
And she won't be able to manipulate us because we're going to just quell that right now.
Right. And fucking society is telling you to eat all this garbage when you really should be eating off the land. So let's get our bodies in shape. Let's get rid of all of the what do they call it? The psychic cache. That's what it is. So think about like having to clear your browser's cache. It's all kind of gunked up sometimes, and sometimes your IT guy says, just clear your cache in your browser. It'll clear everything up. You'll be fine. That's what they're trying to do with their brains. Get all that extra shit out of there. Your brain is just going at a mile a minute because of all the impulses going on in your body.
We're not going to use screens unless it's for research. We're going to eat healthy foods. We're not going to take any medication except this one to prevent her from trying to seduce us. It won't work on us.
Yeah.
We're going to exercise. We are going to be disciplined, and we have a plan, and you just have to trust me. And there's so many points here where you're looking at Jesse Plemons And you're like, okay, he is off his rocker and he is manipulating this poor guy. But in equal measure, you feel so sorry for his character and all of the shit that he has gone through that you understand completely when he like leaps across the table and tries to attack her because she's pushing his buttons and he's had enough. There's other times where he is so desperate to save his mom that he is riding his bicycle as fast as he can to give her what he thinks is a miracle cure.
Yeah, like he's a little boy running after his family, his mommy, to try to save her.
And to be fair, Trent, we didn't actually see what happened. She was flatlining, but did she actually die? Because given the reveal at the end, is it possible that she did actually save his mom? I think there's a sliver of hope in that moment that she survived that.
I'm shaking my head.
I'm skeptical, but you see my point. It's a little open-ended there. I do believe that he just stuck antifreeze in his mom and she died. But at the same time, when we know what happens at the end, now you have to go back to that moment and go, but wait, was she telling the truth?
Also, the cure for what? She says that, oh yes, it looks like it's antifreeze and it smells like it's antifreeze and the chemical compound is antifreeze. But however, that is actually the cure.
I don't know. I just wanted to bring it up because he does get the hell out of there very quickly. But all of this to say, Jesse Plemons is very, very, very good in this movie. His character goes on a wave of emotions and there are high highs and there are low lows and he is committing to this performance.
Yeah, and just before we get out of talking about the actors in the movie, we got to talk about Donnie. One thing that I read before we sat down here in the IMDb trivia is that Yorgos really likes to put actors in his movies that aren't known, but they are professional actors. They are trying to get a job. And this Donnie guy, I felt so bad for Donnie throughout the entirety of the movie. Not only is he allowing Teddy to inject him with this chemical stuff, he just has no agency. He has no ability to fight back. He has no ability to even speak sometimes because Teddy doesn't want him to talk.
I kind of ascribe Donnie as a bit of a gentle giant.
Yeah.
Where he trusts Teddy so much.
He has
and
nobody
he
else.
loves Teddy so much that he will do what he asks him to do because he has nobody else. And when you don't have anybody else, this is another kind of commentary on the society we're in. It's that echo chamber thing where you're looking for it with the people that you know and love. And if they're telling you this, why would they lie to you? And you buy into the conspiracy and you buy into all of his chaotic nonsense. And it comes down to the reason that Donnie does what he does is he says to Teddy, you're giving me these drugs and they make me feel very sad and angry and kind of like I don't want to be here. Does that go away? Because you are introducing something to your body that doesn't belong there. And a lot of people back in the days, if you look into this, this is how they dealt with homosexuals in England for like the entirety of the 1900s when it was still illegal. And a lot of them killed themselves because their body is so chemically imbalanced that they didn't know what else to do. So that's what I blame this on is Donnie just he's not himself right now because he's literally been given a chemical that is fucking up his brain. And he already doesn't have anything like Teddy. He doesn't have anyone else. And it seems like the most logical thing for him in that moment.
Yeah. And, I don't think Donnie does anything. He stays at home all day.
Yeah.
And I want to go to the scene where it happens, right before it happens, of course. We're not going to talk about what happens, of course, because you've seen the movie. You know what happens. But when she and Donnie are having the conversation and he's pointing the gun at her, did you see on screen some little warbles on the left-hand side where she's speaking? That implies to me that she was doing something as an alien to try to influence whatever he's going to do or say or whatever.
I did kind of forget about that. So you're right. It is also possible that she was using some sort of force.
Yeah,
to push him.
Again, it was on the screen. I noticed it. It's very subtle if you're not looking for it.
There's kind of a sound cue in there too, a warble.
Yeah.
So you're right. There could also be something that she is doing to push him. Maybe not to do that, but definitely to get him to set her free.
Yeah, I don't think that she expected him or caused him to do what he does because I think she's just as surprised as everybody in that theater when that happened.
That was fucked up.
Oh boy. But yeah, I definitely wanted to mention that because I don't know what it is that Yorgos is really trying to portray here. Is it trying to put a question in the audience's mind? Because this is before the huge reveal that she really is an alien.
I think we're just supposed to believe that there is something really wrong within Donnie in this situation.
Absolutely. And he has it in his mind that, oh, I'm going to trust you now. You're an alien. And he keeps on belaboring the point here. If you were an alien, let's say that you are, because I totally believe that you are. If you were an alien, will you take me with you? Because I don't like it here.
He's so sad and he's so alone, except for Teddy. And
I felt so fucking bad.
Like I said, a gentle giant. He is the sweetest guy who is being manipulated by people, by the system, by the world who has abandoned him. Yeah. It's really messed up what happens to him.
Let's start talking about some other scenes here because I know we're going long. One little moment here that they do a couple of times here that I want to point out is after they kidnap her and Teddy goes to work. He's driving along on his bicycle and the music. I got to point out the music here that is playing. It is this triumphant kind of really, really high tempo and high energy kind of music. And he is just going along with his life, knowing that in his basement, he has the CEO of a major company tied up and chained up.
No, he has an alien, Trent. He knows he has an alien.
What my point here is, not only is this music happening and he kidnapped somebody, but he's also got his headphones on and he's listening to conspiracy podcasts. I think Yorgos's point here is that, guys, I know what you're looking at here looks like a guy who was just on his way to work on his bike, but think about what he's listening to. Think about what he just did. All of this horrid shit is happening in your neighborhood. It is happening in the background. You have no idea who out there that you probably know somebody like this. You have no idea who has gone down a road like this. And it's really fucking scary. In the world in which we live, people are being influenced in ways that you do not understand. And I think that's really the juxtaposition of the music and this kind of jaunty jig that is happening on screen. But then the cop pulls him over and is really weird and awkward about shit. Yeah, that whole scene got to me.
Well, you touched on the score. There's a few moments where it's like utter silence and then this just bang of the score introduction.
Yeah.
And they did that a few times, like when he is having dinner, they're all at the dinner table and he's finally had enough of her pushing his buttons and the way he leaps across the table and we just go to an immediate 11 in the score. And they do that a few times in the movie. I loved the score of this because it is that thing you said. It's like triumphant and big. And then other times it's like scary movie big.
Yeah. It is almost as if it is a horror movie, the way everything is it's eerie. You don't really know what's going on. You think maybe there's something here with her being an alien, and he really is making a whole lot of great points about the company and what the company did to his mom. And she seems kind of, inhuman about it, let's say. So yes, the audience, me, you, everybody is being pulled in a million different directions as to what you think is going on here. And he did it, Betsy. Yorgos did it again.
I think there is a lot happening. And the way that they finally get to the big reveal at the end, we could have just made it a movie about how people at the top of these corporate ladders have completely forgotten the working man and the plight of humans just living day to day. And the world and how corporations are affecting the environment. There's definitely themes of all of that. He just can't resist making it also a weird movie.
Betsy,
but I liked it.
I'm going to mention something here. And I think, if I'm getting the name correctly, I think it was a guy named Peter Thiel, who was a big tech guy, and you can look this shit up. But at one point, he was interviewed recently by some fucking podcaster and asked him, do you think that humanity deserves to exist, deserves to continue to exist? And he fucking hesitates. This movie is all about that.
The
It's
hesitation.
that reaction, the hesitation. You as this fucking billionaire who could solve so many problems of humanity with your wealth, you choose not to because you're the alpha. You're the guy who is, I don't know, I could never understand somebody like that. And because he hesitates to that question, tells you everything you need to know about these people.
Trent, I hope you express to people when you tell them you saw Bugonia and try to explain what the movie is. You use that particular description. Bugonia is the gap, the pause when a billionaire is asked if humanity should be allowed to continue. That's a weird way to describe Bugonia, and yet completely accurate.
Oh, God damn it. We're fucked, everybody. All right. Anything else?
Hang on. To quote the movie, yay!
Yay! God. All right, Betsy, anything else that you wanted to mention here?
I'm never going to think of that Green Day song the same way ever again.
Uh-huh.
But that's all.
That's okay. I had two more little things. I wanted to mention the muffled sounds that happened like 3 different times in the movie where somebody's behind glass. The first time is when she's recording that video. The second time is when she's being kidnapped and we're kind of in the pool area and you can see them in the background wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
And the final time is when they're in her office and you can hear the cacophony of all the people outside. It's all of this very, very muffled just sounds coming through. I thought that was really cool.
Through the glass. Yeah,
the glass,
They use glass in really interesting ways in this movie. Like when she's filming the diversity video and there's that shot of her center frame and all you see is glass windows and then the reflection of the glass and the light coming in.
Yep.
And she pops because everything else is just this very white light.
Yes. The last thing is very related to the visuals of the movie. This is the 3rd movie in the past year-ish that was shot in VistaVision. Now, you think VistaVision, you think old westerns because it's got this really, really wide aspect ratio to it where you can see a whole lot of stuff, but the frame is actually narrower. This is the 3rd of 3 in the past year. All of them have either been nominated for Best Picture or probably will be nominated for Best Picture. Last year's The Brutalist, this year's One Battle After Another, and this movie. So if you're looking at the movie and it looks a little weird, especially if you're in the theater and you're seeing the aspect ratio is very narrow, like a lot of the stuff on the sides are cut off, but you can see so much.
I had noticed that. I felt like it was not using the full frame.
It wasn't.
But once the movie got going, I kind of stopped noticing it.
See, I noticed stuff like that.
But of course, it's going to be the only way it translates when we don't have a theater that can show that. There's like one theater in the country that shows things in VistaVision, and it's out in California. And sometimes the film literally burns and they can't show the movie.
That's right.
Trent, do you know that we actually watched the very first VistaVision movie on this podcast? Because we watched White Christmas. And this is the only reason I know this. It says, now in VistaVision, there's like this big title card at the beginning of the movie introducing the technology.
Yeah, this was back when a lot of filmmakers were they were using a lot of new lenses and new cameras.
They were playing.
The technology had advanced to the point where, hey, this is big business. We can invest in new technologies and make the movie that I want to make.
And now in the world where some people are saying we should just use AI, there's people like Yorgos Lanthimos and Paul Thomas Anderson and Brady Corbet who are going to Giovanni Ribisi because he collects and restores VistaVision cameras, and they are making a tangible sort of presentation again. They are using the actual 70-year-old cameras, and that presents limitations for how you can really show it in certain places. But for those lucky few who get to see the film print as they intended, I can't even imagine how pristine that looks.
For those of you who have been around us for a long time, Giovanni Ribisi is still a threat.
And yet somehow he is becoming the hero to filmmakers everywhere.
All right, Betsy, that is all I had to say about Bugonia. Now I understand the fucking reference to the title. Bugonia, it's a flower, bees.
I don't know what a begonia is.
It's a flower.
I know what yes, but I can't like point at one and say that's a begonia.
Well, yes, I'm not a florist.
A flowerist?
You are a flautist, though.
I was a flautist.
You
yes,
were a flautist.
But that doesn't make me qualified to identify floral species.
Oh, God. Anyway, I suppose we should probably mention some Oscar stuff before this episode goes completely off the rails. I'm torn. I'm torn, Betsy, if I think that this movie is going to be nominated for Best Picture, because there are a lot of other movies out there that are in the conversation.
But the Academy does love them some Yorgos Lanthimos.
I know. And that's the only reason why I'm going more towards yes, it is. And I'm glad that we did watch this because, hey, these movies are fucked up and I like it.
I'm not mad we watched it regardless.
Yeah, I'm very much into this movie. I think it is probably going to get nominated for Best Picture, maybe Director.
Screenplay.
Jesse Plemons, I think, is way up there as far as Best Lead Actor. Emma Stone probably will get another one here.
Let me ask you this. Where would you put her? Lead or supporting?
Lead.
You call that a lead performance?
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's tricky because she does get introduced right away, but really doesn't have anything to say for the first 20 minutes of the movie.
No, she's lead.
Screenplay, as I mentioned.
Also, I read this in the trivia as well. This is a reinterpretation, or they're readapting something that came out in 2003. It's a Korean movie.
Oh.
So this would be up for adapted screenplay.
Interesting.
It is not original.
Okay, I did not know that.
I would say cinematography is up there. I would say probably score.
Costumes is a bit of a stretch, but only because there's not that many of them. The most complicated thing is that cable knit stuff at the end.
Yes. I would say the beekeeper's outfit that they wear to kidnap her is really good. The cable knit sweater, I think, is an inspired choice. I really, really like those outfits. And maybe, you know what? Kind of an out there prediction. Production design. All of this stuff that they have in his little cubby, all the stuff that he has down in the basement, the decorations of the house.
Her whole company, the layout of her office.
Yep, production design. That's my dark horse.
It's a subtle kind of production design, but you do notice it when you're paying attention. Like I said, the thing with all the glass.
It feels natural because you believe that the Alicia Silverstone character
did we mention she's in this movie?
I mentioned it, yes, of course. But you believe that this was her house.
Yeah, it feels lived in.
Yeah. Any others?
I mean, the really weird ones that I can never predict are like sound and things. They do use some of that in the movie, but yeah, I think we've probably named the most likelies.
I agree. But yes, I'm glad that we did this one. I was a little apprehensive to just pull the trigger and watch it on opening weekend. By the way, we're watching this the day after it comes out. But I'm hoping that we just checked another one off the list so that we don't have to scramble in January, February when the Oscar nominations come out. So with that, I'm going to say Bugonia is in the books. If you would like to tell us what you thought about everybody's performance in the movie, is Jesse Plemons the millennial actor? Email us at neverseenitpod@gmail.com. I'm going to read a follow-up to an email that we actually read the first part last week. Jacqueline sent us 2 emails back to back. She is a new listener, a semi-new listener who has been going through the back catalog and telling us what she thought about a whole bunch of our stuff. So here's Jacqueline. New fan part 2. Hi, Betsy and Trent. My last email was getting long, but you guys have covered so many great movies. Here are some more thoughts on episodes you have posted. Legally Blonde, top tier comfort and hotel movie.
Oh, hell yeah, that's a hotel movie.
Yeah, if you guys are new to us, a hotel movie is one of these movies where you can, if you're in a hotel, they have cable TV, it's 8 o'clock at night and you're just killing time until you got to go to bed. Put your TV on, you can scroll through the guide, find a movie, and you can start it at any point in the movie. You can just have it on and watch it without really having to pay attention or really know what the hell happened in the first 20 minutes that you missed.
You don't feel like you had to see the whole thing. You can just start wherever.
Very light fare, as they say. Next one, Enchanted. Although this is a great movie, I thought the episode read Ella Enchanted. My sister and I loved this movie as kids, so much that our dad actually bought the DVD when it was unavailable at Blockbuster. If you ever plan to do a classic story retelling series, it is a great addition.
Yeah, Ella Enchanted is a retelling of Cinderella.
It says here, Cinderella story with a badass Cinderella
yeah.
and Princess Bride vibes.
Yes, it's a cute movie, Trent. I've seen it a few times.
All right, maybe we'll do that. Next, Network. I'm so glad you guys found it as amazing, parentheses, and kind of freaky as I did. I watched it a couple of years ago and still think about it. Yeah, I still think about it too.
That's literally how we have thought about Network for years. We watched it for the podcast, didn't watch it again until earlier this year when we were covering it for the Revisionist Almanac, and it was still as good as it was that first time. And we hadn't watched it in between, but the amount of time we've spent talking about it and thinking about it is a lot.
We rarely have time to ever watch a movie twice, and if you know anything about our award show that we're going to have at the end of the year, we're not allowed to rewatch movies before our award show. And that's not only for the end of the year podcast, but also the Oscar show too. So even if we wanted to rewatch Network that year, we couldn't. But anyway, we did it this year. Anyway, moving on. Apocalypse Now. Have you seen the documentary Heart of Darkness about the making of the movie? No, but I'll keep going. Definitely worth a watch. The book Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad, a loose basis of the movie, is also worth the read. I read it about 10 years ago, and I'm due for a reread after rewatching the movie.
I have heard of this documentary. I too have never seen it.
Yeah, I have as well. After I saw this email that came in a couple of weeks ago, I actually went and downloaded the documentary. So eventually, yes, we are going to watch it. Thank you. Next, we actually have a question we're going to address here about Philadelphia. We watched this movie in a high school health class to teach us about HIV and AIDS. If you had to pick a movie to teach teenagers about HIV or sexuality or some other high school health class topic, what would you pick?
Contagion, because you should always wash your hands. Having seen it in a post-COVID world, I will tell you, it is accurate and freaky.
It's very freaky. But I'm one of those sickos who will literally just throw on Contagion in the middle of a Saturday afternoon sometimes.
Yeah, I came home and you were watching it, and I was like, what the hell is wrong with you?
I don't know. I just needed to have some kind of terror come over me. I don't really know. Or just relive 2020. But I thought of 3 of them. The first one is not one that I think a lot of people would say, but I said Chasing Amy because it came out in the 90s when a whole lot of people were not talking about human sexuality being very much a spectrum. And hey, ladies can derive just as much pleasure from sex as a man can. And yes, a woman can go out there and be someone who sleeps with a lot of people and not be derided for it. The next one I think answers your question better. It is the Dallas Buyers Club.
Yeah.
Betsy, I think you have only watched this movie a couple of times.
A handful of times, but I know you've seen it many times.
I've seen it many, many times. I think Matthew McConaughey here does probably his best acting job of his entire career. And the subject matter is treated very, very fairly, I think, because there are quote unquote bad guys in the movie, but they are people who have good intentions. You know, nobody in the movie, especially the people who are doctors, nobody wants to have people suffer. It's just, this is all new. Kind of like when we're talking about COVID. Nobody fucking knows what's going on. This is a brand new thing. We're trying our best here, and sometimes it's just not enough, and it's not fast enough.
Watching science in real time is difficult for impatient people.
Right. But of course, that covers the HIV/AIDS epidemic back in the 80s, I think is when that movie is taking place. And it comes from a perspective that you don't expect. The Matthew McConaughey character in that movie is a very, very straight white man who is not the poster child of who you think about when it comes to HIV/AIDS. But in the end, the actual guy that story is based on, he helped countless people deal with their pain at the time. So highly, highly recommend, not only just people in general, but yes, I would say show that movie in school. And my last one, it has more to do with the teaching people about human sexuality. It's the movie Carol, which is, hey, it's lesbians, but it's somebody who doesn't really know who they are. They think they might know something about themselves, but it's during a time when you can't really ask questions. You can't experiment. You have to be in the shadows. and it's just a great movie.
And I'll just second that Philadelphia is a good one as well to show people, because a lot of these movies, it's about empathy, and it's more about that than the actual science and the sex behind it.
It's seeing somebody's life through the camera lens in this case, and being like, until you can actually see it in front of you, you're not going to understand it. And I think movies like this put these topics into the faces of not only just regular people, but society as a whole. The conversation starts. We kind of talked about it earlier this year when we covered Brokeback Mountain as well. Another great recommendation, where in 2005, Brokeback was very much a joke in the eyes of a whole lot of people. It was being joked about on late night talk shows and whatever. It's the gay cowboy movie.
Without any of the context.
Yeah, but when you actually watch the movie, it is a beautiful story about two people falling in love, and they don't understand what is happening to them. But anyway, I hope that answers your question. You have two more here. Next one is Casablanca. Such a beautiful classic movie. I know it is not your jam per se, but I love when you sprinkle in a couple of golden age movies.
Trent, I'm trying to find a way to put more of those on the docket.
I know you are.
I know there are so many that I have shown you that you didn't think you would like, and then you loved them. We just watched Night of the Hunter a few months ago, and you loved it. We didn't do it for the show, but that's why I'm like, I know they exist. I know they're out there. A good movie is a good movie. It doesn't matter when it came out.
Agreed. And finally, she says, The Fisher King, my favorite of Jeff Timber month. Looking forward to next year's iteration. Love, Jacqueline. Well, we love The Fisher King too, and we love you too, Jacqueline.
Yeah, thank you so much for doing this deep dive. We never ask this of anybody, and we're always impressed when people commit to it.
Yeah, I am always so happy anytime we can get a new listener, new emailer. I know you guys are out there. You don't have to watch every single movie that we cover. You don't have to listen to every single episode we put out.
The idea is that you explore the movies along with us.
Yeah, if you're already interested in a movie that we're covering, play the Never Seen a Home game like I'm sure Jacqueline did. You listen to our intro, then you go watch the movie when we do, and then come back and listen to the rest of the episode when we're doing our reaction. So thank you again. If you too would like to be like Jacqueline, send us an email to neverseenitpod@gmail.com. Of course, we have all of our social media links in every episode description. And if you would like even more content from us, go to patreon.com/neverseenitpod, where for $5 a month, you get access to all of our extra premium content where we talk about our favorite movies, romance movies, more scary movies, random movies, and once a month, we have a conversation pit episode where Betsy and I pick a topic and just talk for a while. It's people's favorite content we are finding. Maybe we should stop talking about movies sometimes and just talk.
Just have conversations with each other all the time about anything.
Let us know. What do you think? Should we have a different podcast where we're not just talking about movies? Let us know. Neverseenitpod@gmail.com. Betsy, we're done with Bugonia, and we will be continuing on with more 2025 movies. What are we going to be covering next week?
So this one isn't brand new. This is a movie that came out earlier in 2025, but has been on our radar, and we've been very interested in seeing it. So we're finally going to watch Sorry Baby.
A movie coming from somebody that I have been following for years. I'm very excited to watch Sorry Baby next week. But until then, my name is Trent.
My name is Betsy.
Come back next week for another episode of Never Seen It.
Bye.
Bye-bye.